Yeah, we're talking about compassion this month. Compassion is a very important type of comfort. Who will comfort you? My reading tonight is from Kristin Neff. She is the founder of the Self-Compassion Institute, and she's an author also, and she's written several books on the subject of self-compassion. Having compassion for oneself is really no different than having compassion for others. Derived from Latin, the term refers to how wherewith suffering compassion. Think about times when you have felt compassion for a close friend who was suffering. First, to experience compassion, you have to actually notice that your friend is struggling or feeling badly about themselves. Second, if what you feel is compassion rather than pity, you realize that suffering, failure, and imperfection is a part of the shared human experience. Finally, you respond to your friend with warmth, understanding, and kindness, feeling the desire to help in some ways. These are the three main components of compassion: mindfulness, common humanity, and kindness. Self-compassion simply involves doing a U-turn and giving yourself the same compassion you'd naturally show a friend when you're struggling or feeling badly about yourself. It means being supportive when you're facing a life challenge, feel inadequate, or make a mistake. Instead of just ignoring your pain with a stiff upper lip or getting carried away with your negative thoughts and emotions, you stop yourself and you say, "This is really difficult right now. How can I comfort and care for myself in this moment?" Instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind, understanding when confronted with your own feelings and failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? You may try to change in ways that allow you to be more healthy and happy, but this is done because you care about yourself, not because you are worthless or unacceptable as you are. Perhaps most importantly, having compassion for yourself means that you honor and accept your humanness. Things will not always go the way we want them to go. You will encounter frustrations, losses will occur, you will make mistakes and bump up against your own limitation. This is the human condition, a reality shared by us all. The more you open to this reality and work with it, instead of constantly fighting against it, the more you will be able to feel compassion for yourself and your fellow humans in the experience of life. And isn't that what we are here to do? Experience life. And we live in this body, and it is mid-spring. We are staring down at summer, and summer is coming with its joy and with its expression and with its promise of freedom, low tides, running on the beach, camping, sleeping out under the stars. There are things that can make that freedom and that joy a little bit sticky, where we don't truly embody it, where we don't truly dive into it and feel it with open arms. That stickiness requires our self-compassion. But what is that stickiness? What kinds of things do we get stuck with? Well, I discovered an important thing that I have been stuck with. And this journey started at the end of the year. Do you guys ever do end of the year rituals or ceremonies? So, as a part of my spiritual practice, and here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we are open to all kinds of spiritual practices. I practice shamanism. And one of my shaman teachers introduced us to a ritual that takes 13 days. And on the very first day, the requirement is to write down 13 things you want for next year. Seems easy enough. I'm a big dreamer. I got vacations I want to go on. I got relationships I want to build. I've got jobs that are coming my way. And then you get to about 9 and it starts to get hard and you really got to dig deep. And so I'm digging deep and I'm writing down 10 and 11 and 12 and I cannot think of this last one. What do I want to experience? So I opened up and it came to me. Deep abiding forgiveness. And I wrote it down and I folded it up and I put it in and then I immediately regretted it. And so for the whole rest of the ritual, we've got 12 nights of this. I'm thinking, I hope I don't get deep abiding forgiveness. I hope I don't get deep abiding forgiveness. I know about forgiveness practices because we have them in our classes at Centers for Spiritual Living, and they are challenging. Because you have to face these things that you have done, that others have done to you, and then you have to forgive them. And I've done that. I never really felt like I had truly forgiven. And every night of this new practice that I'm doing, you pull out one of these pieces of paper and you don't look at it and you burn it. This is what we call in Science of Mind releasing back to the law. We are letting it go. It is not mine to do right now, but if and when it is, it'll come back. And in shamanism, burning is the same thing. The ashes go back to the earth. The smoke goes up into the sky to be recycled and reborn and possibly come back again. So, spoiler alert, I'm guessing you know which one was with me on that very last night. Any guesses? Any guesses? Deep, abiding forgiveness. And there it was. And I have this little sneaking suspicion that because I said, I don't want that one, I don't want that one, I don't want that one, I was putting so much energy into what I didn't want. There it was. The universe is a little bit like a toddler, right? No running. They don't hear no, they hear run. You say, I don't want any more rude men in my dating profile. Here come all the rude men. Have to tell the universe what we want. But I also know that when I decide and align with and open up to and accept with my biggest yes, the universe will guide my path. The job offers will come. The relationships will be available. The toddler will stop running because I will say what I want. Let's walk together. It works with a toddler and it works with the big, grand design. Ernest Holmes says this very clearly. Ernest Holmes is the founder of our philosophy, and he wrote this big book called The Science of Mind. And he says, I believe heaven is within me, and that I experience it to the degree that I become conscious to it. That is the same as saying, when I say yes and know that it happens, it is available to me. So the signs started coming in. How was I going to do this deep abiding forgiveness? And then I remembered 2023, my mom and I went on the vacation of a lifetime. My mom has never been out of the country, so I took her to Hawaii. The Hawaiians will tell you it's not America, but you don't need a passport to go there, and it feels a lot like being in another country. And so it's also my birthday week, and I'm there with the woman who gave birth to me, and we rented a camper van, and we drove all over the island, and we hiked volcanoes, and I snorkeled with turtles, and we drank so much 100% Kona coffee, we went broke, because it's expensive. And on my birthday, I'm getting phone calls, and I'm celebrating, but my mom forgot. My mom forgot my birthday, and I was pissed. Talk about blocking your joy. I spent the whole morning on the phone with a friend about how could my mother do this, and this is just that selfish behavior that I remember, and I'm having all these memories going back in my head about my mom, and I probably said something about narcissism, and then I hung up with the friend, and then I go back to my mom, and I was like, why did you forget my birthday? And she said, well, I celebrate your birthday when you tell me to, which is fair enough because my birthday's on leap day, which means it could be the day before or the day after, but I wasn't buying it. So I stayed mad, and then 6 months later, my mom died. And her death was a rapid decline and a rapid degeneration. And every week she lost some valuable, important functioning of who she was and how she lived in the world. And she was scared, and it was hard. And our whole family just clung together in this tragedy. And then we had an autopsy, and we discovered that she had a rare and rarely diagnosed prion disease, which causes the prions in your brain to misfold, and your brain kind of just degenerates. And for her, it happened really quickly. And so then, as I'm opening to this deep, abiding forgiveness, and I'm thinking about that, I'm remembering the guilt as I look back on that event. And I remember her scared self sitting there, and how blind I was to what was happening. There was nothing in me that wondered, what is happening for you? I was awful. You guys have had those moments, the ones you want to reach back in time and take them back, but my mom is not here. I cannot talk to her. My mom would forgive me. I felt that. I knew that. But something inside myself would not let me forgive myself. And then it hit me in this perfect way that the universe unfolds to us. I had called in deep, abiding forgiveness. I had called in this memory, and I was fully feeling this guilt. And I felt that sovereign center. And I knew this has to happen within me. My mom isn't here, but I know there is no time, there is nothing but eternality. Everything is available in the field of consciousness. I can do this here, and I can do this now. But I still didn't know how. How am I going to do this? When you have spiritual practices, when you have principles that you work on, they come up for you. They become available to you. You remember them more often. You don't have to be reminded. That is what we do here. That is why we are at inner light service, so that we can be in the field. We can carry it with us, and we can remember consistently. So then my husband took me on a 50th birthday trip to Costa Rica. Oh, and now we're on another birthday trip. And now we're having deep abiding forgiveness. And now I'm walking on the beach and I see this beautiful shell. I mean, the shells are everywhere. It's Costa Rica. It was magical. I pick up this shell and I think about one of my favorite spiritual practices, meditation. And I'm reminded that on the shaman path, when you go into meditation, you can ask specific questions of anything. So I decide I'm going to go on a journey with this shell. A journey is like a meditation, but you ask questions. And then whatever comes up, you believe the answer because your imagination is a tool that the Absolute uses to communicate with you. This wasn't just any shell. This shell looks like a drill because it drills itself down into the sand. And as I'm on a journey with this shell, and I ask the shell, what do I need to know? It drills right into the center of my heart, that sovereign place, and it says, self-love is the heart of forgiveness. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we've got self-love. Now we've got forgiveness. Grief is truly a portal. The only thing to do with grief is to grieve. Ernest Holmes knew this. He didn't write a lot about it, but he experienced it when his wife died in 1957. They had been together for 50 years, and his close friends at the time wrote that he expressed more sorrow at that time of his life than they had ever witnessed. Earl Grolman is a rabbi, and he says, grief is not a disorder, a disease, or a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. The only cure for grief is to grieve. All of our experiences are available to break us open. The joys, the sorrows, the big, bold expressions of the seasons, the times when we are peaceful and quiet and calm. We are the place for this. We are the sovereign center where God is experiencing itself through us, as us, for us. So I decided that I would go into this sovereign center. And I'm guessing that maybe by hearing my story, I saw a couple of heads nod when I said, you have something that you feel. Maybe it's a little thing that you feel guilty about, that you feel unforgivable for, like not turning on your blinker and, that's kind of frustrating. Maybe it's a big thing like forgetting someone's birthday or intentionally causing someone harm. And I just want you to take that into your sovereign center. Take that feeling, take that event, take yourself into the center. When I did this, with my guilt about the way I behaved with my mom, I sat with myself in this sovereign center and I looked myself in the eye and I said, it's okay, you didn't know. And now you do know. It's okay. You are forgiven. And then in my sovereign center, I wrapped my own arms around myself as if I am God holding myself because I know that I am. And I just said, it is okay. Kristin Neff says that what is more important than the intensity of the challenge you face is how you relate to yourself in the midst of it. How you relate to yourself. Our practices are offerings to us to bring ourselves into alignment. We have to be available for the totality of life. And we have to be available for finally being broken open. Thank you, guys.